Scrum Masters Elite_UK, the story of Ardie Savea, Scott Robertson shows that rumors does not equal truth. Subscribe to see multiple perspectives.
The situation surrounding Ardie Savea, Scott Robertson, and the New Zealand Rugby Union is more than just a piece of sports news. It is a typical snapshot of how information is created, spread, and misunderstood, while also reflecting the very real pressures faced by elite athletes in the modern world. What first caught my attention was not the idea that Savea wanted to leave the All Blacks, but how the story was interpreted in a more dramatic way than reality. Initially, rumors suggested he had issued an ultimatum, either him or the head coach. This painted a rather negative image, a powerful star willing to pressure the system. But as details emerged, the picture turned out to be completely different. A person who was tired, exhausted, and simply wanted to be closer to his family. This contrast made me reflect. In a world where information spreads faster than it can be verified, we are easily drawn into stories that seem plausible but are not necessarily true. The fact that more than 20 sources found no evidence of a rebellion highlights something important. Sometimes the truth is less appealing than rumors, and therefore more easily overshadowed.
From a personal perspective, I feel a certain level of empathy for Savea. Constant travel, high-intensity competition, and almost no time for family come at a significant cost. Over 2 years, he played nearly every match for both club and country. That's not just physical pressure, it's a mental burden. When someone says they are burned out, it's not weakness, it's a warning signal. What stands out is how Savea chose to handle the situation. He didn't publicly criticize or create conflict. Instead, he proactively communicated with union leadership. Even if the initial outcome wasn't what he hoped for, this approach reflects professionalism and respect for the system. It contrasts sharply with the rebellion leader image that rumors attached to him. However, the story isn't entirely simple. Reports suggest Savea wasn't fully satisfied with the team environment during 2024 to 2025, and his relationship with Robertson wasn't as deep as the one he had with former coach Ian Foster. This is significant because it reflects a reality of elite sports. Human factors, connection and trust, can matter just as much as tactics. A relationship that is merely professional and effective may not be enough to create long-term commitment. People can work well together yet lack deeper alignment. And in high-pressure situations, that gap can become difficult to bridge.
Another interesting aspect is Savea's leadership role within the team. Although appointed as an off-field captain, he didn't feel he had a strong strategic voice within the squad. This raises an important question: does a leadership title truly come with influence and recognition, or is it sometimes just symbolic? From my perspective, being given a role doesn't necessarily mean being heard. And conversely, lacking a title doesn't mean lacking influence. True leadership likely comes from the trust of others, not just official status. The story also touches on Savea's decision to join Moana Pasifika. This is not just a career move but also one tied to identity and family. While the system had concerns about performance and professional environment, Savea saw alignment with his personal values. This leads to a broader question. In life, what should we prioritize? External definitions of success or personal alignment? There is no universal answer, but choosing a path that aligns with one's values requires courage, especially when it goes against system expectations. The way New Zealand Rugby handled the situation is also worth noting. Rather than accepting a contract termination, they sought to retain Savea by emphasizing his value and developing a workload management plan. This reflects a more long-term and humane approach compared to focusing solely on immediate performance. At the same time, it highlights a reality in professional sports. Organizational interests and individual needs don't always align. Balancing the two is complex, and there is rarely a perfect solution.
From all this, I take away a few personal lessons. First, don't rush to believe what you hear, especially if it's sensational or controversial. The truth is often more complex than headlines suggest. Second, listening and understanding others' circumstances is essential. A decision that looks like lack of commitment from the outside may actually stem from deeply human reasons: family, health, and mental well-being. Third, in any environment, human connection remains fundamental. Skills, tactics, and systems can be built, but trust and understanding require time and sincerity. For fans, this story is also a reminder. We often see athletes as ideal figures, strong, resilient, always ready to give everything. But behind that, they are still human, with real limits and needs. Expecting perfection from them can create invisible pressure. More broadly, this is a story about balance, between work and family, external expectations and internal needs, success and happiness. There is no universal formula, but perhaps what matters most is listening to oneself and having the courage to make aligned choices. In the end, what stays with me is not who is right or wrong, or who deserves criticism, but a clearer awareness of the complexity of both people and information. In a noisy world, staying calm, objective, and open to multiple perspectives may be more important than ever. Viewed fully and fairly, Ardie Savea's story is not a rebellion. It is a gentle yet profound reminder that even the strongest people need rest, understanding, and the space to be themselves.
Scrum Masters Elite_UK, goodbye. The story of Ardie Savea and Scott Robertson reminds us, slow down. Understand deeply, don't rush to believe rumors. See you again.